My people's here. How are y'all doing? Hello, hello. It's so great to see so many familiar names. And now, because I see some cameras on, some familiar faces from our opening plenary session. I hope y'all enjoyed getting to hear from our national director and getting to, do the NAACP chant with us. For anybody who's just joining us, I want to welcome you to the 84th Texas NAACP State Convention. I want you to do one thing for me. Go ahead and tell us who you are, where you're joining in, down in the chat below. And let's just, welcome you in the right way. This session is going to be entitled Self-Care, Building Your Day, and Knowing Your Limit. Once again, my name is Nick Hawkins. I have the pleasure of serving as the second vice president for the Texas NAACP Youth and College Division. And I am joined today here with such a special guest, Dr. Ashley Wade. Before I tell you more about Dr. Wade, feel free to place some comments or questions in the chat below. I'll be facilitating this session just like a conversation, so it'll be more laid back, and all of you are in it. So don't be shy. The space and time is for us, is for you just as much as it is for me and Dr. Wade. So without any further ado, let's hear about our special guest. Ashley Wade is a practicing pharmacist from Longview, Texas. As she currently resides in Forney, Texas. She's a knowledge enthusiast with a STEM background, a conscious thinker, and a motivational speaker. She's a healer who enjoys connecting with people on a spiritual level to positively change their lives. She also has a huge passion for reading. So book recommendations, that's the one to go to. Through her first book released in May of 2021 titled It's a Journey, a holistic journal of discovering self, which I am a proud owner of a copy, Ashley creates a process for those who are open to connect with themselves on a deeper level. She aspired to create a space for people to share and, most of all, be. She hopes to leave you guys empowered and inspired to be your higher self. And she also is an alum of TSU, the University of Arkansas's Medical Sciences for Pharmacy School, and she also started her doctoral degree program in 2016. How are you doing today, Dr. Wade?
I am fab. I'm super fab. I'm happy to be here and ready for this conversation.
That is so great to hear. Man, I gotta catch my breath. It was a whole lot. But who better? So we are going to go ahead and dive into the interview. It'll be about 30 minutes, and I have a pool of questions. So is it cool if we start off?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Got you. So I wanted to ask, when did you realize that self-care was so important? And what was the first step that you took to provide it for yourself?
Let's see. I first realized that self-care was important after I graduated from pharmacy school in Arkansas and moved back to Texas. And some personal things had come up in my life, and light bulbs were going off, dealing with some family issues. And I was like, hey, I had started figuring out some things about myself and self-esteem, different topics of that started kind of coming up in different conversations and experiences. And then I started to realize, like, you know what? I'm here, I'm me, but I'm really not handling myself well, and I feel like everybody has to come to that crossroads and just realize that you can handle yourself better. Because a lot of times we kind of gauge our lives on how other people handle us, well, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that, and then there's me. But you have to kind of get into a mindset that you can handle you a little bit better. And then you can kind of set the tone for other people to handle you. So that's kind of when I first started thinking about self-care in 2016, 2017. And then I started talking to people. I started kind of engaging in conversations and journaling. That was the main thing I did, because a lot of times we have things in there, and when we don't get them out, we don't realize the impact that they have on our self-esteem, our self-love, our awareness of who we are, and then like what position we play in the world. Because You know, there's a big old world out there, but you being you is just as important as you taking care of everybody else.
I was supposed to save it for the end, but you started us off great by dropping
Listen,
gems today.
I'm in the right
So
mood today.
with me being the biggest of Jay-Z fans, I'm a reference the blueprint. We need that from you today, Dr. Wade. So what are some everyday self-care practices that you like to implement that helps keep you, grounded and helps set the tone for your day?
See, the thing about me is I'm in a good mind space. So I have kind of come through some things in my own holistic journey. So I make time to journal. So before I actually started paying attention to self-care, I would have journals and never really kind of get into it. I would maybe start, but I would just be like, okay, that was cute. I started it, that was cool, but then never kind of like really connect with it. So that's the main thing that you can do as a person is do things that keep you grounded. One of the main things that I like to do is spend time outside. We don't realize, we are very, very caught up in the routine. We have stuff to do. Okay, I got stuff to do. I got places to be, things going on. And I found that when you go outside and you spend time just in nature, then you kind of can put things into perspective as far as your life and then the world. And the busyness of it. So when you step outside or you go on a walking trail, or even if you walk around your neighborhood, you notice things, you notice insects, you know, and you don't pay attention to those. You're like, you swat them off, but you're like, okay, they know what to do. If you watch wasps long enough, I have this place in my backyard where wasps kind of congregate and they know what to do. I don't know exactly what they do, but it looks like they get nourishment from when the ground is wet, like different things you can pay attention to. And you're like, dang, they know what to do. And then you look at a tree or a flower and you're like, dang, the tree knows what to do. Doesn't have to ask anybody or have permission to grow and to change color. And, things like that kind of help put you in perspective and how important your body, your life is in the grand scheme of things, because things are around you going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to be there. The world, it was created very uniquely, but another part of that world that was created was you. So you have to give yourself some credit. You have to be able to be in a position and a mindset to pat yourself on the back. And then as you're busy, right? But then take yourself away from busy and just be and connect and ground. And, I spend time outside. I definitely spend time reading. For some people, that seems weird, like, oh, that's work. But to me, it's where I ground. I can kind of deep dive into learning or finding something out or discovery. And so that's what I would challenge everybody to do. Like, find something that you love, that's your light work, that you feel like is your passion, but it doesn't involve people. You know what I'm saying? It could be reading, it could be going to a coffee shop, with a book and a journal that you haven't started, but you want to, because our environments kind of set the tone. So if you go to a coffee shop or a library or Starbucks or something like that, you see people working. So that inspires you to want to, like, let me get my book, my journal, and put my headphones in and zone out.
No, definitely, definitely. I want to remind folks that are participating with us, please feel free, either raise your hand or submit a question in the chat if you have one. So another question that we have for you is to talk about being busy, because I heard you mention that word. How do you know whenever your plate is full? And what are some things that you do to make sure that you don't, go beyond that threshold and just overload yourself?
So that's a really great question. And it's huge because, when you think about your plate, you think about your schedule and how you plan it. So you have your core schedule, the things you have to do. You plan a little bit of time for rest. You get up and you get busy. You have work, you have school. You have things that are like part of your core schedule that you have to do. Some people are parents. They have to take care of their kids. Kids got to get to daycare and stuff like that, or school. So that's part of your core as far as scheduling. But then you have to figure out, like, after you do that, then you think, oh, I have time in the evenings or I have time on the weekends. So then you start using that time to add your activities into, which is great. I mean, everybody has that extra piece of, inner light that we like to share in activities and engagements. But sometimes with that little bit of time that we have left, we can overload it and our plate can get full. And how that manifests, it comes out as in like sadness, depression. It comes out as in feeling that you don't have time. You know how sometimes when you get busy, like, oh my God, I don't have time for what I want to do. You know, I'm busy doing this for so-and-so, this for so-and-so, but what about what I want to do? And then that starts to show up as low self-esteem, depression, low self-worth. So you get into that low vibration. And whenever you find yourself getting there, you need to step away. And I'm not, I'm not in your shoes, or I'm not in you guys' shoes, and you're so awesome. And what you do for in the community is like, we need it. And I'll say that several times, is we need you, but we also want you to be well. We want you to be happy. We want you to be loving. We want you to be loved. And that's all part of what you can create with your schedule. And so when you start to feel yourself in low vibration, like, oh, I never have time for what I want to do, or you really want to engage with your friend or family, but you can't because of your schedule, stuff like that. That's when you kind of have to take a step back and say, you know what, where can I add meat into my schedule? If there's no time for me to be grounded, kind of the things that I mentioned earlier, then something's wrong with my schedule. And then another piece of that is like, when we move to build our schedules, a lot of times we do it to be busy. Okay, I have this extra hour here, I can do this. But I think when we build our schedule, we have to think, we can be in a mindset. I can't tell you what you have to do, but we can be in a mindset where we can think about alignment when we make our schedule. Like, what works with my purpose? What works with the reason why I'm here in the first place? What is the best use of my gifts? So then when you do have activities and things that you do, you get gratification, personal gratification from it. And you're like, you know what, I'm on the right track, or I'm using my gifts. And so that way you can find joy in the things that you do. And then you can find joy in the outside activities that you put into your schedule. Like, there's tons of stuff to do in Dallas, tons of stuff maybe to do in your city. Get involved in something that you don't have to plan. Just show up, be a witness to things, and enjoy being a part of life and not actually like running it per se.
No, I love that. I see we got a question. Let me go ahead and pull that up. From Jasmine, it says, what if you play a big role in your family to where you feel bad if you do try to take that step back? Are there any suggestions that you could offer there?
Yes, and that's going to bring me to one of my favorite pieces of work. This
I know
book,
you don't got it,
and I'm going to share it. Listen.
Come on.
It's me. This book is phenomenal. It's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Nedra Glover Tawwab. So she is a therapist, and she specializes in like boundaries and relationships. And when I read this book, I found that you can create healthy boundaries in the light of self-care, and you can have communication with people in the light of self-care. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people take, whenever you decline something, let's say you have to look after a family member, or you have to take them to a doctor's appointment or something, that's fine. We want you to do that. We want you to show up and represent for your family. But at the same time, maybe you can't make them all. And you have to consider yourself, because they're themselves. You see what I'm saying? You have to consider yourself as you start to extend yourself, because you're one person. You can't, you're doing thousands of things. You can't save the world, but you can do your one part. And you have to make sure that you're well too. Back to that. So I would challenge Jasmine to read this book right here. It's phenomenal. It just came out in 2021. And I'm all about timing and alignment and stuff like that. And sis came through, and I'm telling you, when she said A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself, understand, assignment done. Like, what are we talking about? Because you do find that you don't protect yourself. You don't make decisions with you in mind. When you make decisions with everybody else in mind, then when it's you look around, you're like, who I got? What if something happens to me? Who's gonna come and run to my rescue? So you have to keep all those things in mind, and you can find peace when you set a boundary. And boundaries don't mean you have to cut people off necessarily. Boundaries don't mean that you have to seclude yourself because, hey, I'm doing my thing. but it does mean that you consider yourself when you start to be who you are supposed to be in the universe. You consider yourself in that story too. And so setting the boundaries and saying, okay, well, if you have something to do after 6 o'clock, I'm not going to be able to do it. You know, this is the window that I have from 4 to 6, and whatever you need me to do, I can help you. But after 6, that's my time. Or on Wednesdays, I'm not going to be able to do it. You know, things like that. You can prioritize yourself and find peace.
Yeah, my exec fam know I'm running this script dry, but wow, again, you are dropping gems. Thank you so much for that. I kind of want to wrap 2 questions because I saw that we got one from our first VP that kind of correlates to another one that we have. So,
Okay.
as the Texas NAACP Youth and College Division, the vast majority of us, and that core time you were speaking to earlier, lies in that, you know, in that school campus, whether it be Zoom University or actually being on campus. So, what suggestions do you have to avoid burnout, especially as somebody who's gone through, you know, undergrad, post grad, and then now as a doctoral student? And then also, are there any free or low cost resources that you know that our students could take advantage of?
Yes, and I'm gonna double back. I'm gonna tap into something that we talked about earlier as far as building your schedule and building, you know, what you do. And I know that a lot of what you guys do is pertinent. We need you. You know, we depend on you. Our community needs your face. Our community needs your mind. Our community needs so much from you. And that's just off top. And we appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you don't get thanks enough. You guys, all of you who organize and you plan and you sacrifice, we appreciate that. So let me just throw those kudos out there real quick so you can know that you are seen and you are worthy. You know, you're worth taking time for yourself. And I do want to undergird that core piece. So if your core involves a lot, you know, that's fine. But at the same token, when you build that, you know, delegate. Look for, if you have a role and you know what you're here for, and you know what your purpose is, you know what your gifts are, and you're in your lane, right? You're operating. When assignments come up, do those things that fit your lane. You know, I'm not trying to put you in a box at all. I'm not, because you all can wear so many hats and do so many things. But I challenge you to, whenever you take on tasks, is your light gonna shine? Is this the best place for your light to shine? Is this the best place? Because then if it's not, let's say you are passionate about it, but it's not your full passion, you may be able to delegate that. You know, there's a lot of other people who support you guys, who just want to volunteer and they just want to show up. Delegate that to them. Use that as a teaching moment for somebody else. Because when we, as people, we generally like to do a lot. We like to be busy. Like, we get gratification from being busy. But I challenge you to do personally, do things that are in line with your light. Look for things that are in alignment. And that's where you perform as you in your authenticity. But if there's something that you're not completely passionate about, that's okay. There's tons of people, you know, I'm sure your chapters are large and small. You know, there are some people that are eager to participate. And if they are and they want to be involved, delegate that to them, because you don't want to take on too much. And you never know, somebody else may excel in that. Delegate that and be prideful when you do it. Hey, I have this wonderful opportunity I think you'd be good at, you know, and you're seeing somebody else and you see how they operate. Hey, I think you'd be good at this. And it may not be high level, you know, you may not be exec board level stuff, but you know, people want to be involved. They want to be engaged. Let them. And then you'll feel proud. And then you'll feel like you cared about yourself enough to be like, oh, I really could have taken this on. I did have an extra hour, but I didn't. So that extra hour that I delegated, that's for me. That's for me. So I'm going to exercise. I'm going to work out. Maybe I'll look at a keto magazine, or, you know, some way that I can add to my body, that I can be healthy and focus on me. Mind, body, soul, spirit, all that. Uh-oh, I hope I didn't lose you.
My apologies. All right, I'm back. So I believe we have time for one more question. And the question is, what are the direct benefits of self-care and how can it increase the possibility of a positive impact in the community?
So a couple things I can drop in here right now. So a direct benefit is you ultimately show up as your authentic self. When you take care of you, mind, body, soul, and I want to jump into sleep and rest real quick in this area because a lot of times we minimize. I can remember being in pharmacy school and our first year, you're eager, when you're in school, you're like, hey, I want to do well, I'm stay up, I'm study, whatever I need to do. But I remember one of my professors was like, you need to sleep at least 6 hours. And we were all like, okay, okay, okay. But you have to sleep, you have to rest because you're physiologically, let me go there. Your body breaks down cholesterol at night. You give your immune system a chance to work at night. You reduce stress when you get rest. Our bodies respond to stress. We make cortisol, which creates like fat around our midsection just from not getting enough rest. You know what I'm saying? So the direct benefit, doubling back, is you show up as your authentic self because guess what? You've done some work. You may have set some boundaries in between doing your self-care. There's another book I'm gonna throw out there that I absolutely love. It's called It Didn't Start With You: How Inherited Family Trauma Shapes Who We Are and How to End the Cycle. You can dig into who you are and the cycles that surround you. It could be, you know, uh, people and affection. Maybe you have an issue with affection. Maybe you have it. You can start digging into those things as far as self-care. Emotionally, how is your emotional well-being? Hello. Have you cried? Do you need to cry? Do you need to forgive? Do you need to write? Do you need to change friends? Hello, somebody. Do you need to get rid of, some negativity and gain some positivity as far as yourself? So that when you show up in your direct benefit, you're more authentic. You've had conversations that you need to have, you've maybe cut somebody off that you need to cut off, or you've put yourself in different environments where you gain good people around you in a good environment. So when it's time for you to show up, back to direct benefit, you show up in your authentic self as you're being you. You show up and you can be happy. You can find joy and peace, and you can show up as self-love, and what your energy radiates. So when you show up at those events and, you may be at our state capitol, you may be out there on the front lines, but you're showing up there in your authenticity and people will see that. People will gravitate towards that. You can smile more. Hello, direct benefit. You can smile more. You can find joy in things. We are part of a world that's huge. We're part of a community that has needs, yes. But what about you? What about you? And we want you to show up as you. We want you to be happy. We want you to be well. We don't want you to be perfect. Let me say that, because let me take some of that pressure off of you real quick. Because we're not expecting perfection. We just want you to be you. And whatever gifts come with you being you, we want to see those. Whatever light bulbs come on when you show up for other people, we want to see that. And sometimes that can get wrapped up in low vibration because of your schedule and things you have to do. And you're like, oh, I want to do these positive things, but I can't. You can manipulate that. You have power over your schedule and you can delegate. There's some things you can do and ultimately do whatever you need to do so you can show up in your authentic self and your beautifulness and your blackness, all the other essences that comprise who you are. That's what we want to see. That's what the world needs. Hello. That's what our community needs, is your nest, all the other beautiful things that come with you. And that you can tie that into self-care and so you can take care of the pieces that you need to, so you can be who you're supposed to be and who you need to be.
Dr. Wade, you just been on it from start to finish, man. We appreciate you for dragging us like you have. You giving very much bell hooks. You
Hope there
reading
was
us right
love in
now.
it, I hope there was love and peace.
It's a whole lot. We greatly appreciate it. We can't appreciate it enough. So I actually found out, Little Bird told me we got more time than I thought we did. So we could actually keep the questions going. So once again, for the folks that are in the participant section, feel free, drop any question. This is a safe space. I like to say that in different tones, but understand I'm serious about that when I say it. So if it's anything that you have, just feel free to drop it in the chat. But one question that we did have that I wanted to ask is about just advocacy work, because, as who we are, dealing with what we deal with, it could be draining to constantly go through issue after issue, at times wins, at times what we feel like to be losses.
Yeah.
What are some ways to disconnect when we need to? Whenever we're steadily affected and we start to see it show up in our more personal daily lives?
The main thing that you can do to disconnect is spend time alone, spend time in a peaceful place, because again, there is a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts, and this generation is beautiful to me because I think we're at the point where we are educated. We are asking questions, we're analytical, we want to know why, we want to know what's being done. There's so much out there that's going on, but you have to disconnect. And I can't tell you how to do that because you're unique. All of you are so special in so many ways. You're unique. And for me, that's reading. For me, if it starts to get too busy, a lot of stuff going on, I start feeling some type of way, because I do, especially in my profession. There's a lot going on, a lot of stuff I want to say. But when I find an hour, I'm going to my space and I'm going to open a book and I'm gone. Give me my hour. I have my music going. And that's where I connect with myself spiritually through reading. And that's what I encourage you guys to do. Like, if you have the opportunity to engage in therapy, do that. If you have the opportunity to sit with a spiritual advisor or a friend that has a spiritual capacity, talk to them. Just engage in a conversation, because sometimes we can't find our own peace. We don't know. We want peace. We need it, but we don't know where to find it. And there are light beings out there, people. There are light beings. I consider myself one. I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people who are spiritually connected to things that happen around us, and they can describe the big things and they can describe the small things. And so it kind of helps you put things into perspective. So after that conversation, or after you journal, after you get going, then you can kind of be in a place of, okay, I got that out. This is what I was feeling. This is what I was upset about this. This made me angry. So-and-so said this. You can get that out and disconnect in that way, so that when you get it out, you feel free. Like, I got that off my chest. Now what can I do? Now I'm ready. Now I'm not doing things because I have to. I'm not angry. I'm actually happy, that I got that out. Or I'm happy that I have this person I can talk to maybe once a month or every couple of weeks, and I can see someone's face and they can bring joy and remind me that I am joy and give me affirmations. Hey, you are peace. We need you. You are extravagant. We need you. But don't extravagant yourself so far that you let extravagant be somewhere else and then you somewhere else. See what I'm saying? That's all encompassed in you. Let me go. Let's see. Extravagant, knowledgeable, powerful, loving, intelligent, analytical. You're all those things. And sometimes when you're in life, you get torn down. Man, so-and-so got arrested and, it wasn't their fault, or, whatever. Oh, that puts you in a place. But understand that your purpose here is so great. And what your level of disconnection is great too. It's great too. And you can be holistic with it. You can bite off over here. You can fight over here all day. But over here, you find peace. And then you'll realize that you find balance. So you can be both things. You can be a lover and a fighter. Hello. You know, you can bring the heat. You can stand up in front of people and bring the heat, and you can also bring peace. And you find that when you give yourself permission and a chance to disconnect, and whatever that is, if it's reading, if it's going to your favorite coffee shop. You know, in Dallas, we have the privilege of a beautiful Black bookstore at Pan African Connection. And you get life there, you know? So I challenge you all, look out into your community, see what there is for you to get into, you know, see what there is for you to find out where you connect with who you are, your history, your ancestors, you know, your real truth, you know, not the foolishness that, you know, we were fed, those things. Oh yeah. So there was one event that I went to last week or a couple of weeks ago, and it was Jazz at the Park. Beautiful situation. It was amazing. But when somebody said, log into your culture, and boy, that stung. Log in, you know, go to a Black establishment, sit around some old people and let them disperse wisdom to you. You know, you may have to eat your Black eyed peas. You know, you may have to, you know, grandmama may be over there with her sweet potato pie, but you log into your culture, you log into the things that make you so special and unique. And you can find peace and joy in that. And then you can go out and be you. And you've logged into yourself and you see people that are like you, whether they're struggling or whether they're doing well, but they're like you. Log into your culture.
Man, this is gonna be my last time, guys, I promise. You drop in gems. Dr. Wade, I know that was a message
I love
for
y'all. I
somebody.
really do. I love
Because it was a message
everybody
for
that's on.
me.
I love y'all.
Man. So I saw, well, real quick, wanted to give a quick announcement. If you guys are a delegate by now, you should have received a ballot to your registration email. And then if you haven't received a ballot by the end of the next session, please reach out and email texasnaacpyc@gmail.com and we will get you set and situated. I saw some pretty great questions drop down in the chat. So I wanted to ask you, Dr. Wade, could you give us some tips on therapy? We know in our community it's kind of a taboo subject. And you know, it's no, I guess, right way to do therapy, but we don't want it to just be a trauma dump. How can we make our therapy sessions more substantive and constructive?
So I would say use discernment whenever you're choosing your therapist. Everybody can't service you. Look at you. Everybody cannot service you. No, I won't say nobody. There are some people who don't have the capacity to understand you. So it is a dump. You were having to explain and really get in the weeds, and you could really benefit from somebody who understood you. So I challenge you to, whenever you're looking for a therapist, and I'm not saying just Black and brown, that goes with the territory. If you feel more comfortable talking to somebody that's Black, seek that. If you're on a spiritual plane and you want somebody to understand spirituality when you talk to them, do that. Seek that so that you can get what you need, because we're all on different playing fields when it comes to what our needs are. And I really feel like we have to use discernment a little bit more than we do. You know, most of the time we just like, okay, well, if someone's there, I'm going to use them, but you don't have to. You know, you can seek, you can actively engage with people, and it doesn't have to be traditional therapy. It can be somebody that's a light being, and you know that whenever you're around them, you find peace, or they always have something positive to say. And it could be a family member, it could be your uncle that is philosophical. For me, it's you know, I have a good batch of people around me that I can go to and get fed, and it doesn't have to be traditional. And I think a lot, if you need it, get it. You know, if you need a little bit of support, you know, I'm a pharmacist, so you know, we dispense so much. If you need medication, seek it. But at the same time, practice discernment and understand that if there are some things that you need to resolve inside, do those things. Seek out people who are on your wavelength. They don't have to be just like you, but if they're on your wavelength and you vibe with them, talk to that person and be clear. Hey, do you mind if I talk to you, about so-and-so? Or I just want advice, or I just want you to listen. And you won't get it right the first time necessarily. You may talk to somebody and you may realize that they're negative. Okay, I don't want to pursue that. And you can try again. Like, don't be discouraged. Everybody is out here trying to get it. Everybody is out here surviving and living. So whenever you seek therapy, just know in the back of your mind, it doesn't have to be traditional. If you need it to be traditional, fine. There are a lot of very, very intelligent people. Miss Nidra Glover, she's a therapist. That's another thing. She wrote this book. A whole therapist wrote this book. A Black woman wrote this book. See what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be true. Don't be hard on yourself when you are wanting to seek something. Get it. It just may not be conventional. Also, it didn't start with you. Dig in there a little bit, because we have to understand that no life is without conflict. I do want to say that. So I don't want you seeking perfection. I don't want you, saying, okay, I need to go to therapy because I need to be perfect. Or, I need to learn how to fill my plate up and be fine doing that, and sometimes you do need to dump. And I do want to say something special about my journal real quick, because this can be guided journals can be what you need if you need to dump. We go through stuff. We have family issues. We have friend issues. We have so much out there, and you can dump somewhere. You need to dump somewhere. That's just real life. I feel like you have things that happen to you from 0 to 20. But by the time you get 20, 25, you can kind of figure out what you need to do for you. And if you need to tackle something that came up in your life and when you were 15 that you never really resolved, dump that so that you can resolve that and that you can increase your perspective. That's another thing, that I feel like therapy and speaking with somebody that's a spiritual advisor can get you, is you can learn to expand your perspective on things, events. You can learn to expand your consciousness. You can grow in that area, and you can expand your awareness. And I feel like whether you go through traditional therapy or a spiritual advisor, the goal is the same: for you to be well.
Well, I actually want to, and my apologies, they found me. So it's a bird in the background making some noise. But I wanted to double back on that spiritual advisor part. How do you use faith and spirituality to help find balance in this world?
This is probably my favorite question. You have to pay attention. So one thing that spirituality teaches you is that, you're part of something, you're part of it. And life is a chess game. You don't know it when you're a kid and things are happening to you and they're happening around you. And there may be things that you can't say or whatever, or things that you notice, but as an adult, you can notice things, and I'm just going to jump right out there, especially in relationships and in things like that. And, things that we want to force. You don't have to force anything. One analogy that I want to use right here is, how like at amusement parks, there's always the water ride, right? There's always the water ride. There's this log, you get into it, and it's a journey. The log ride is a journey. You don't just float through the middle the whole time. You may come around the corners and bump aside, and it may put you back in the middle, and you may make a left over here, and you bump against a wall. And so I wanted to kind of correlate that into life. As an adult, you bump into stuff. You bump into disappointment. You bump into failed relationships. You bump into things like that. But you have to pay attention to see where you're guided. So this person that you see on the other side, this is me. I haven't always been this aware. I haven't always been this keen as far as my own sense of spirituality. But I challenge you guys to pay attention. I like to call them moving parts. Things move around you. When you're in alignment, you'll know you're in alignment. Things will work out. especially as an adult. Things will work out. But if you're out of alignment, it may get tough. So pay attention to those things. And I'm not saying that every time you go through something rough, you're out of alignment, but look for the lesson. You know, it's a chess match. Who needs to move? Does the pawn need to move, or is this the time for the queen? You see what I'm saying? Like, you manage the discernment when it comes to that. And the more you pay attention, the more you can move better. It's kind of like a beginner chess player versus an expert. The beginner is looking at the small things. You know, what can I do here? But the expert is like, I'm watching what you're doing. And then that's going to determine how I move. That's that level of discernment and awareness that you can find through your faith, through your spirituality. And if your faith is not feeding you like you expect, or if you're still kind of in this circle, then you can step out of that a little bit and get into something that's kind of new. Conversation about boundaries. You know, are they talking about that in your spiritual community? If they're not talking about boundaries and finding yourself, then that's something that you can do on your own to support that faith. Because faith is not only one way. Faith is not just doing one thing, seeking one being. You know, faith is understanding that it all works together. Somewhere in there, they say, you know, all things work together for the good of those that they believe. Okay, well, let's notice how things are working together. If it's not working together, pay attention. So I didn't want to get too deep in the weeds right there, because you know, I don't want to be offensive, but I do want you to feel comfortable if you have to get outside of the box regarding your faith, because people are like, oh, you know, spirituality, universe, all this stuff is new to me or weird. But if you learn about it, you may find that it's in line with what you need to know so that you can be who you need to be and max it out.
Everything on max, y'all. So thank you so much, Dr. Wade, for joining us and really preparing us to do the good work that needs to be done, but keeping our mind and our spirits right during the same time. So as a token of our appreciation, we wanted to go ahead and bless. I don't have my shirt on today, but we will be sending you a 2021 NAACP convention box. It's yours. So our chat support is going to be sending a link to you directly so we could gather all of the info that we need. But once again, we just wanted to thank you for all that you do and for giving us some of your time today by joining us. Please, I want to spend like this last, 5, 10, however many minutes we got. Just talk to the people about how they could, get in touch with you. I think you got something coming up tomorrow. I'm going to be there. I hope that we can get some other folks to be there, but just give us the rundown, Dr. Wade.
Like in the spirit of alignment, so many things are happening for me once I started to connect with myself. I mean, I met so many incredible people. I've opened my mind to getting myself out of a box. Again, I'm a therapist, not a therapist, look, I guess I'm speaking it, but I'm a pharmacist and I practice medicine through helping people be well through medicine. And I realized, you guys, that there's so much negativity in the world and people are carrying it. We fill thousands of prescriptions a day of medications, from diabetes to depression to high blood pressure to heart, and I don't wish that on you guys. If I want you to be well, I want you to be happy, and I want you to find peace in who you are. And what I found, this is the cheat code. I'm going to give y'all the cheat code. It's you. That's the gift. It's you. We are worried about pleasing everybody else on so many levels, from the low to the high. We want to be who other people want us to be. But I'm telling you, when you get out there, you spread yourself so thin and you forget that you were created uniquely and wonderfully because you're so thin. But when you double back and you find yourself, I'm speaking to you as a testimony, then you can be you, and you understand that, it's not necessarily that you have to be prepared for anything. You just have to know how to be you in any situation. See what I'm saying? And that's the cheat code. It's really you. So when we're caught up in, I want to be this role or I want to be that role, that's good. Maybe that's in alignment with you. But really, don't forget about that. It's you. Can I point? It's you. That's the gift. You were sent here, you know, you were created. So when things start getting busy and you start feeling some type of way, just find a way to double back and remember. And I guess I can give you something to say. It's me. It's really me. It's me. That's the gift, you know. And we kind of find a balance between humility, because you don't want to be egoic, and you don't have to be egoic, because it's about you and it's not about you at the same time. So it is you. It is you. You are what's important in this picture. When you look around and you see all the moving parts and things are going on, but it's you that's going to show up and change the energy. It's you that's going to show up and make the change. But you have to do that from a place of authenticity and self-love and peace and pride and joy. Definitely follow me on social media, Read with Dr. Wade on Instagram. I am on Facebook. I share a lot of my book recommendations through my website, www.readwithdrwade.com. I have my book recommendations on there. I also have done something very special for you guys. So within my book, it's basically a process to, if you don't know where to start, if you're like, oh, I want to connect, but I don't know what to do. I created a process through my light work that I feel like will connect with you, and I'll walk with you through these processes through my book as a friend. You know, we are here together. You know, I'm not perfect. We're all here together, and I've done something special. So if you are interested in grabbing this journal that I've created, there is a special code that you can use, NAACP, and you can get a discount for your journal. It's a journey. Always remember that it's a journey. You're not expected to have everything figured out. It's a journey. You know, some things you may hit, some things you may miss. A holistic journal for discovering self. So definitely use that code NAACP. You get your little discount, and I'm open. So you can connect with me through my email. You drop in my DMs. I'm always open for a conversation. Right now, what I'm learning to do is meet with people one-on-one. I'm starting to do small group sessions. I kind of had to figure out where my role was, in that. So I do want to open up some time to have small group sessions, meet with people who want to work with the book, or just one-on-one if you need a refuel in your spirit, because I know that I can help you with your spirit. So I'm trying to kind of bottleneck that, because I also don't want my plate to be too full. See what I'm saying? So that's where I'm trying to balance and kind of see where I can help and where it doesn't become overwhelming for me. So that's where I'm at on that. Definitely follow me, chat it up. Tomorrow, actually, I'm reading with a good friend of mine that I met at Pan African Connection. And it's going to be a live read on Instagram. I'm going to be reading from a book, It Didn't Start With You, and she's going to be reading from a beautiful book about love. Just engage, get fed where you need to. And I'm so grateful that you guys had me on today.
No, we are so grateful for you for coming through and just absolutely blessing the scene. I think it was so many gems and so many great takeaways. Y'all, I hope that journal, whatever you writing on to take notes with, is full. I hope that y'all pick up y'all copy, because I got mine. And look, I do got to slide this in there. If you have not purchased yourself a convention box and you trying to be kitted with the flyest of NAACP gear, go get that. It's $20 and it can still be found on our website. But this concludes our self-care, building your day, and knowing your limit session. Guys, this was a great experience. I'm looking forward to building on top of this, and I hope that you enjoyed this session just as much as I did. I want to thank y'all for coming out, and I heard there's some Olympians in the building that we got for the next session. So looking forward to that one, guys. I think we got Siobhan to drop down, so we're going to hand it off to her.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at the screen. If you haven't been, if you have some error. The screen, we do have 3 lovely Olympians. We have Sam Mattis, Quindary, and Alex Young. If you're not familiar with them, you will get familiar with them in the next session. So you have 15 minutes to do whatever you gotta do. Actually, I forgot to tell you this in plenary. Sessions are ongoing, they're continuous. So it's okay if you need to step off to go drink water, eat, I haven't done that yet, but make sure y'all do that because Dr. Wade just dragged me and told me to take care of myself. So make sure you do that. But yeah, if you need to do anything outside, take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of business, but make sure you come back 15 minutes. Click the correct link. Marissa just put that in the chat for everybody. It will also be a Zoom webinar like our plenary. So we look forward to seeing y'all in 15 minutes. You see how I did there? I said 15 minutes, like 15 times. 15 minutes. Okay, but that's all we got for you for now. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Wade. Dr. Wade, also, you can go ahead and slide through the next session too.